So much happened with the Trump gangster organization over the weekend. It's just hard to try to keep track of it all. A whole lot of breaking news today, all of it about the gangsters who have decided to destroy American democracy. And in that gang of gangsters are these Christian thugs, these real shit asses like this Jeffress preacher out of Texas who is warning America that if any attempt to remove this criminal son of a bitch from office, and the country is going to slide into a civil war. Can you believe this? You Christian thug, you lying son of a bitch. I wish there was a Jesus, just like Willie Nelson's song, Come On Back, Jesus, and bring John Wayne on the way and take this Jeffries freak and just rip him limb to limb. Jesus, not me. I don't threaten people. But I mean, this coalition of political fascists and Christian Nazis, man, it's almost an unbeatable combination of gangsters. I said almost, because we, the people of the United States, are going to kick these assholes right back into the holes they crawled out of, including this punk thug who is president. And by the way, you have to pay close attention to hear the subtle shifts in the Republican power structure away from this filthy criminal Donald Trump. For example, Mitch McConnell, Moscow Mitch. Mitch had a message to Trump. I think it was today. It might have been yesterday on Talk TV, but I think it was today. Mitch McConnell sent word directly into the camera to the thug bastard who thinks he's president of the United States. The message was that he, Moscow Mitch, quote, will have no choice, end quote, but to hold a trial in the Senate and a vote on removing Trump from office if the House presents the Senate with a bill of impeachment. So what McConnell is saying to the thug bastard in the White House, don't look at me to pull your ass out of the fire, boss. Now, that is essentially bullshit. It's bullshit. Yes, there are rules, but Moscow Mitch doesn't play by the rules. Look what happened with holding a Supreme Court nominee open for 10 months until the gangster could assume power. What McConnell is trying to do is avoid the wrath of Donald Trump. The wrath that would come when Trump says to McConnell, deep six this shit, boss, as fast as you can. And I think McConnell also knows, as this thing unspools, as more and more evidence comes out about the criminal activity of Trump and Pence and Pompeo and Giuliani and Mnuchin and all of these bastards, every single one of them, as more and more of this information drips out, the American public is going to tell their individual senators, get rid of this son of a bitch. Vote him out. And I think McConnell has figured that out. McConnell is an evil little shit who's only interested in himself and the money his Chinese-American wife can glom up from her contacts in China. And God only knows what kind of classified information she's passed on. You want to talk conspiracy? Let's take a look at Elaine Chao. All right? She's worked in 2 Republican administrations. Why don't we investigate her? You know, she is Chinese. Sick bastards. Moscow Mitch's comments came in an interview with CNBC. And it confirms the position that he's already stated to NPR, that there's nothing he can do. He said today, he said, quote, under the Senate rules, we're required to take it up if the House does go down that path, and we'll follow the Senate rules. If a Senate rule related, it's a Senate rule related to impeachment that would take 67 votes to change. So I would have no choice but to take it up. How long you're on it, impeachment trial, is a whole different matter. But I would have no choice but to take it up based on a Senate rule on impeachment. Now, what McConnell is doing there is leaving a little rat hole, a turtle hole for this son of a bitch to sneak out of when he says, how long you're on impeachment trial in the Senate is a whole different matter. He can control that. In fact, Moscow Mitch here is trying to have his crime and eat it too. Because by saying, I have no choice, he's kind of putting the pressure on Trump not to ask him to deep six the inquiry. But he is saying how long you're on it is a whole different matter, which leaves him the option. He can call the trial to order and give it 6 hours, 3 hours for evidence to be presented, 2 hours, 1 hour, 15 minutes. It's my understanding there is no time limit on how long the impeachment trial can last. It's up to the Senate Majority Leader, I believe. Now, as reported, I think this was in the Times, even before the U.S. House began work on getting rid of this criminal son of a bitch, speculation surfaced that McConnell could simply stall the process. And if it reached the Senate, possibly use the same rationale that he used to bury Obama's nomination of Merrick Garland to the Supreme Court in 2016. McConnell could say, well, we have a new election coming. The voters should have a voice in the process. You sneaky, slimy bastard, you. Now, the thing to keep in mind, and who pays attention to this shit? I don't, until this stuff comes up. Well, the impeachment of Clinton got my attention on how the Senate and the House work together and against each other where it concerns impeachment. But the reality is, the Senate Majority Leader exercises almost unchallenged power to determine what comes to the floor for a vote. McConnell has been unilaterally holding up consideration of hundreds of bills passed by the House this year. Bills about bettering the conditions of life for Americans. And these are bills that nobody knows except maybe the members of the House who sponsor these bills, and they let their constituents know back in their home districts. But those of us out here in the general public, we have no idea. What McConnell has said, no, I'm a turtle. I'm a evil, nasty-looking, filthy-looking turtle married to a Chinese spy. No. Huh? You think? The Constitution gives the Senate the power to try the president, as we all know, if he's impeached by the House, but the Constitution does not set a timetable. You see the rat hole, the turtle hole that Moscow Mitch is leaving for himself? But anyway, McConnell said he was prepared to see a trial play out, and the Senate staff memo backs that position. The memo, the Senate staff memo, said this, quote, there is no way we could somehow bar the doors and prevent the managers from presenting the articles to the Senate, the managers from the House. The rules of impeachment are clear on this point, end quote. McConnell had added earlier this year that the Senate has no choice. If the House were to act, the Senate immediately goes into a trial. There's no delay. Now, to clarify, McConnell's political interests appear to be complicated. If Trump survives a Senate trial, he could claim vindication. Hey, see? Nothing. Re-elect me. And then the gonifs and assholes and thugs and idiotic Americans who come out of the closets and the shitholes and the woodwork and vote him back in for another 4 years. Maybe not. Maybe enough of us have seen what this scum sucker is about, and we would throw him out. As far as the people in Kentucky throwing Mitch McConnell out, hi, Truth Seekers. Mike Malloy here. As you know, we've switched formats and are now broadcast exclusively on the Progressive Voices Network. So that means you get fewer program interruptions, no corporate commercials, and lots of profanity. But our format change also means some of our radio listeners no longer hear the program. It's been a while since I mentioned our podcasts, so you may have forgotten that there is a way to listen to this program anytime you need a good dose of screaming. Visit MikeMalloy.com and subscribe to our podcasts. You have your choice. You can listen to the ranting with the audio podcast or listen and watch me lose control with a video podcast subscription. As a podcast subscriber, you can download the program to your mobile device and take me with you wherever you go. And if you have a friend who needs a dose of truth-seeking, you can give a gift subscription as well. That's MikeMalloy.com, and never miss a minute of the uncensored fun and frivolity.